So today we are here with local celebrity, business entrepreneur, public speaker now. Is that what you are?
Maybe a speaker, like a black boxer speaker.
Oh, not black, you're not that old. Spencer Lodge, welcome to the show.
Thank you, mate. Nice to see you. It's a bit weird, tables are turned.
I know, yeah, you're coming on my show. I think the first one I ever did was, what was your initial show that we did together?
So, well, I started a podcast, and then after that, I said to you, let's do a podcast together.
It was a good podcast, by the way.
It was
really
funny
good.
for about 6 episodes.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. And then after 6 episodes, you're like, I've got nothing else to say.
Yeah, I was like, I'm done now, mate. You got to ask me some more questions.
But it was lots of fun. Clearly, the banter's good between us, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you've completely revolutionised the training video game in Dubai now, haven't you, really? You're taking over the aspect. Everyone talks about it. Carl just said, oh, your videos are amazing. You interviewed astronauts last week.
Yeah, it was an astronaut last week. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm at episode 178.
Wow, it's older than you.
So, yeah.
By
so 3 years in,
years.
keep making the content. And it's like all of this stuff. It was like in sales, isn't it? You don't start off hitting a home run. You've got to build up and you've got to earn and learn and all that kind of stuff and do your apprenticeship almost.
Yeah, get your badges.
Yeah, and that's what I had to do, like you did in your industry as well. So it's been good fun on the journey, and I've just met some incredible people.
Yeah, you have. And then you get to meet me.
Well, it's interesting though, watching you evolve over the years, because as some people will know, we've known each other for, well, I've been here 17 years, so it's nearly that long.
Yeah, it's a long time.
So when you've known someone, particularly through your life, because you were like 21.
Yeah, 19 when I come here.
19. Yeah. Okay, so you're like a kid that I either saw at football training, at a football match, or drunk in the lodge.
That's it. You know me. You knew me well at 19.
Or Barasti maybe for the football.
Barasti, yeah.
And so when you were that youngster there, to see where you've come and how you evolved, there's not many people will know the journey and the story and the headaches and the heartaches and the Smith and Ken and starting a business in your bedroom and all that kind of stuff with your brother. But there's nothing that anyone else can say apart from, well done for what you've done, because it really is an incredible journey. So you must be proud of it, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I am proud of it, but do you know what? I think it's a horrible, and I said this on the last podcast it's like a horrible winner's syndrome. Anybody you will have this 100%. When you go and chase that trophy, the medal, when you get that trophy or medal, it doesn't feel as good as the chase. And then you just think, okay, what's next? And it's always going to be that way.
Now, your problem isn't that, in my opinion. Your problem is that you're the number one business here, the number one brokerage. And your number one brokerage, I think, by maybe 20 or 30%.
Yeah.
When you're number one, okay, you never get a chance to be the underdog.
Yeah.
You always are the favorite. And some problems come from that. Number one, you can get a bit cocky, you can get a bit arrogant. Also, you can get bored.
Yeah.
Because you're number one, who can compete with you? And so what you actually need to get you going even more is you actually need people to push you.
Do you know, we had this conversation. Someone said to me before, we were doing a podcast last month, someone said, what is it that gets you out of bed? What gets you motivated? And I said to someone, unless you've been in this scenario, it's very difficult to understand, but how do you stay hungry if you're always fed? And that is such an interesting saying, that someone that's always doing well. I mean, I can't imagine, we've not had many bad times. My business has always just continued to do well. And I think the most exciting thing for me in the business, when we were the underdog, and like you said, I think we've accelerated that much in growth and turnover and everything else, that if you said to me, what is it that gets me going? It's when I see someone else post social media saying they're doing well, or I think someone's a threat to my business, it sort of puts me into another gear that didn't exist. So you do need that competition. Any business that's doing well in real estate, I applaud them, because it makes you better.
Yeah, I think, but I really do believe, I was the top salesman for years.
Yeah.
And I would accelerate out of the blocks on January the 1st. And by the end of the first quarter, I would have destroyed everyone.
Yeah.
And by destroying everyone, actually the first quarter was my buzz.
Yeah.
But once everyone was destroyed, the rest of the year, it was kind of like, you do, but you get into bad habits.
Yeah.
And you start to, you start to self-sabotage sometimes.
Yeah.
You come up with crazy ideas, and you're on a ready, aim high like me, and that's a great idea, let's go for that.
I'm the worst for that. Go with that. Let's build it now. Yeah, you haven't thought about that. What about the action plan? No, build it. We're going.
How much money do we need? Okay, fine. We'll just spend that much money. It's going to work. Don't worry about it. Yeah. And so I think that's really important for all people in business, and all your sales guys as well. You'll have guys that when they're so far ahead, it's hard to compete. But where you get 3 of them going at it, together.
It's really interesting. So last year, our top earners, the top 3, built over £1 million into their own pocket.
Mm-hmm. So they commission to themselves.
To themselves. So they made £1 million, which is unheard of. If you go back 4 years ago, and I think that's a lot to do with inflation of prices, inflation of goods, inflation of life, and everything else that's come with it. But what's interesting is that the top 3 people had never built the numbers before. They built like very good numbers, but these numbers, and what happened is that they seen one of them doing the numbers, and then went, okay, I can do that. And then they went and did, and then it made better. And what we've done in this company, and what our secret sauce is that we don't hide the figures from anyone. So if you're doing crap in this company, everyone will know you're doing crap. If you're making money, they will know who the drinks are on. They will know immediately. And what that does for everybody else is it sets a standard. There's no longer, you go to some companies that go, oh, if you do 20,000 dirhams, we'll put you on a spinning wheel and you can win some AirPods. But I'm like, mate, we ain't celebrating 20. You celebrate 20,000 dirhams, I'm kicking you out the door. And people understand that is our standard. And being around good people definitely makes you better. So in business terms, exactly the same.
Who is your competition?
Do you know what's a weird one? Because we launched Houser, the property portal owned by Allsop and Allsop, Better Homes, Ispas, Driven. They are and were our competition. One of my competition is that they're people that we're doing deals against, and they're people that were approaching our staff and we're approaching their staff. Now we're in like this, I don't know how to describe it. We're obviously shareholders in a company. We meet every quarter. It's gone from, oh my God, I hate this company. Like, I'm going to take them down, to you sit with them now and go, oh, they've got kids. They just want to do better for them, for their family. And what they're trying to do is for their family. And this competition factor sort of disappeared. I'm still egotistical. I let people know we're doing well, and I make sure that, because you think you have to. Social media is selling, isn't it? Yeah. I say this to everybody. When people say to me, why do you post your car? Or why do you post when you're doing well? I know with social media, how it works is I post, that gets print screen, shared, people tell that story to 10 people, and that news becomes real life.
It's aspirational, isn't it? Yeah. When people coming into your business, they look at the CEO of a company and like, I want to be like him one day.
Yeah.
And so that's essential for people. I remember years ago, at the very beginning of my journey with Devere, I had a Ferrari, and we used to do recruitment days in Birmingham once a week. And so I would fly back to the UK, and Nigel, the CEO, he'd say, Spence, come in your Ferrari. He had a Subaru.
Oh, really?
He's like, come in your Ferrari and we'll park it outside, because we know that when people know it's your Ferrari. And so, they're
So I remember when I first met you, you had your BMW 7 Series, and I always remember this. And you had this amazing, obviously bear on 19 at the time, and you've pulled up to football, and I was like, who is this guy? And you had a driver taking you, sitting on the back on your phone doing deals. I'm like, this guy is a hero. So that aspirational factor, I still remember it now, and that's 16 years ago.
Wow.
So I
lost that car in a bet.
Did you really?
I bet my top salesman, he couldn't win.
And he beat you?
Yeah, and not me, he couldn't beat me, because I was managing him. But it was like June or July, and he was miles behind the guy that was number one. I'm like, you'll never win. He goes, I'll win. Wow. I'm like, you won't win. He went, but bet me something then. I said, I bet you my blooming car.
I bet you a Devo, and you had to
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I would have been like, you can have it for a week, but you're not having it in your name, mate. There's not a chance.
I literally had to give him the car.
So I want to talk about something a little bit relevant today for anyone that's listening. The purpose of these podcasts are to listen to people's stories.
Yeah.
But I also like to educate people and listen to experts and their opinions. And I'm going to throw out a property terminology for you and tell you how I think inflation is one of the main topics I want to talk about, how I see it. Mm-hmm. And then obviously you are very much a financial expert, business expert, speaker to a lot of the larger companies that has an incredible understanding of inflation. But I'm going to give you my basic real estate idea of inflation. I've watched through the years, if you go back to when my mum bought her first house with her dad, we're talking 1980, 1985, whatever, maybe when I was born, and they bought the house for £40,000. The house today is probably worth £250,000. And I've watched that journey take place across other families and other properties, and I've seen people talk about markets where they go up and they go down. But what I've realised is that in property specific, if you take the long form of the graph, you'll always see an upwards trend. And my theory for that is very simple. In property, if you don't own a property and you don't live in a property, the world is always going to get more expensive, always. And the cost of goods become more expensive. And if you don't own a house, this is my theory, you become the victim of inflation. You cannot become the successor. I mean, the houses I've bought in the last 2 years, I'm laughing. I told everybody, I said, I've made the best investments you could make in property terms. And I've been very lucky, but educated with the luck as well. I've put a lot on the line to get it. But I knew the market was going to go up. And I think it will still go up in 10 years. But I think the water that I'm paying for now that's a dirham is going to cost 5 dirhams. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's a fair analogy when we talk about property and inflation?
That's the value of property has gone up.
Yeah.
during that period of time.
Yeah.
It doesn't always go up. It's an asset.
Correct.
And I'll tell you about the first house I bought.
Okay.
It was a studio flat in Essex. My mum was like, "You're going to get on the property ladder, all right? You're going to buy a property. We'll put half the deposit down." Now, bear in mind, this property back in 1988 cost 32 grand.
How old were you then? 20?
18.
Oh wow, you were?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I was 18 years old, and my mum gave me half the deposit. I put the other half down. She's got to get on the property ladder. After a year, I wanted to sell it, and it was worth less than I paid for it.
Oh wow.
So I was going to have to pay to get rid of it.
Why would you want to do that?
Hold on, you're young. You're 18 years old.
Yeah.
That's your first experience.
Okay. Yeah.
You're like, hold on a minute. That's when you realise the value of stuff can go down as well as up.
Yes.
And if you talk about real estate, never in a market in the world has it been on a roller coaster like Dubai.
Wild. Yeah.
Okay, it's like that. And if you catch it at the right time, boy, are you laughing.
Yeah.
Okay, if you catch it at the wrong time,
we're both caught on both sides.
Okay, I bought. When did I buy it? In April 2008.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ross Gardner. Okay, forever getting when I see him.
Yeah.
Ross Gardner sold me a house on the Palm at the peak of the market, just before the markets crashed.
Yeah.
All over the world. I then renovated that house, spent a load of money on it, and I sold that house a few years later for a little bit more than I paid for it. So I didn't lose.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's over a 2-year period or 5 years? How many years later?
That was 2008 I bought it. I sold it in 2011.
Wow. Okay.
Because the market went. Now, what worked in my favour is that the exchange rate changed. So we had 7.2 dirhams to the pound, and it went down to 5.
Yeah.
So when I cashed out, I was cashing out a much better rate.
So you would have lost 20%, you lost 40%, you've lost 20 hypothetically, or halved your losses because of the exchange rate effectively.
That's correct, yeah. So inflation affects everything. And a good example of that is just understanding what inflation does to your money in the bank.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to get it. If you've got £100 in the bank, okay, literally it was announced yesterday that inflation in the UK is going to go from 5.2 to 7% in the UK.
Give me the dumb version of anyone that's listening, and even to me, you're saying the inflation goes from 5.5 to 7.2. What do you mean? You're on about the cost of buying something like a milk, or
yes,
what?
Everything becomes more expensive.
How do they control that? How
does who control it?
So they're saying that everything becomes more expensive. The government is saying everything's going up. So let's say if you walk into Londis, and if Londis still exists, and
that's supermarket.
Yeah. So if you walk in the milk,
why would you choose Londis?
I don't know. I didn't want to go with the big brands. I thought I'm going to go with the corner shop, support the local. You know how it is, the local brand.
Londis.
We're in Londis, the penny shop, and we bought milk. That milk last year was £1. The government is saying there's going to be inflation of 7.2. The government doesn't dictate the prices. So how is it? Because everything else a knock-on effect, and then
there's lots of things that impact the price of goods. Number one is supply, and so we had all the problem with COVID, and supply has been a real challenging. So supply chains have been a problem. On top of that, if a country has a certain amount of money, let's say a country has $1 trillion. Yeah. Okay, so there's £1 trillion. Let's just say is floating around there.
Okay.
If the British government then goes and prints another £500 billion,
the value
and brings it into the system, the value of the money becomes less.
Correct.
So your spending power becomes less.
Yeah.
And that is inflation.
So it's a bit like, and we were talking about this before off camera, we were talking about the watches and how they've gone up in value. And I use the example for anybody else. I bought my wedding watch, which is not a normal thing to do, and I bought a £50,000 Audemars Piguet. And obviously with COVID specifically, so I went into a watch shop that I buy my watches from. I used to buy watches from, now I wear Apple watches. But when I was wearing this watch, I walked in there and he went, "Oh, you have the gold AP chocolate watch." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Okay, buy it off you." I was like, "Okay." And I think he offered me something to like £120,000. And I was in shock. I said, "Why are you buying this from me?" He goes, "There is no watches being delivered because obviously COVID has stopped transport and everything else that's come with it."
Factories closed. People couldn't go to work. So
Correct.
Rolex can't build more watches. Yeah.
Same thing. My director, Darren, bought a Patek Philippe. And he said, I hate the watch, rubber strap, really nice watch. For him, he just didn't like it. So he went, "I'm going to sell it, buy a house." Went in there and they offered him like 70% return on his money. And he was like, "I can't believe it. It's one of the best investments I've made," but it was over COVID. And that goes back, I suppose, to what you're saying. If there's no supply, the demand increases, which means the value increases.
Always. So that's one part of it. So if there's a supply chain issue, goods can't get there, which means we've got a limited supply, people will pay more for them.
Correct.
I'll give you a good example. The new Range Rover came out recently.
Yeah.
Okay. The waiting list on a new Range Rover is 18 months.
Yeah.
Okay, but you'll know some of these dealers here will have them before anybody else.
I will have one and pay an inflated price.
Yeah, and they'll be offering it 100,000 dirhams more than they should be offering it. Well, if you want it now, okay, that's because there's not many in circulation.
Are you going to get one?
I'm not answering that.
You're getting one.
But the reality is it's going to be more expensive because there aren't many around.
Correct.
What we have to consider always is, if let's say the supply chain issues stop,
yes,
okay, and everything goes back to normal from that point of view,
then what?
And they've caught up, okay, you still can't take away the fact that the governments have been printing money like crazy,
okay,
and the more they print, the more they devalue their own currency.
So what you're saying effectively, if you are Joe Bloggs and you've got £100 in the bank, that money is decreasing at a rapid rate. Is that what we're saying?
They've been putting interest rates up recently. So let's say ideally, okay, in a savings account, you could get 1% a year.
Okay.
Okay. And
exciting.
Inflation was 7% a year.
Okay, yeah.
That means £100, okay, is going to go down by 7%. So it's 93 and up 1%. So let's say your net is 94. That's leaving your money in a bank for a year, leaves you with 94 out of 100 by being safe.
Wild, isn't it?
And
so if you fast forward 20 years, your £100 could be worth a tenner.
Absolutely could. But you also think about this. Recently, Russia just put interest rates up to 20%.
Yeah.
Okay, so to combat the devaluation on their currency.
Yes.
So the currency has literally plummeted in the last week.
Yep, seen that.
And so as it's plummeted, they've put interest rates up to 20%.
Is that interest rates to a loan or interest rates to gain interest on
to borrow?
Either way?
Or, interest
to
rates
deposit
interest
as well.
Rates, yeah.
Wow.
And so that you then go, oh, maybe I shouldn't take my money out of the bank.
Yeah.
I'll leave it there because I'm getting now 20% as opposed to I was getting 8 or 9% before.
Yeah.
So we have to be really, really careful to understand money when it comes to buying a house, starting a business, borrowing money, all that kind of stuff. You know, you've been saying as a real estate broker, you can borrow money for peanuts, for goodness sake. It's crazy not to get a mortgage. Why would you buy a house for cash when you can get a mortgage at 1% or 2% or 3%? It doesn't make any sense. Borrow the money cheaply. Yeah. But if you had to pay 20% a year to borrow the money,
and that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah,
I mean, I was talking to someone about going reverse back to property. We were talking about you've seen the long payment plans. People offering 10-year payment plans, and other developers saying you can buy. Mm-hmm. And I was talking through that with someone, and someone didn't quite grasp the concept of interest and everything else. I just said, look, if you buy a property for $1 million dirhams and you pay 3% for 20 years, 60% of that value of that house, you are paying in interest. And that is when people understand and grasp the concept of it. Buying a house on a payment plan, again, reversing into property, is actually an amazing thing to do if you understand and have the cash to be able to be a lot bigger.
Assuming the property is worth what it's sold for at that time. So if the property is worth $1 million, and then I can pay in installments for the next 10 years, so 10% a year for 10 years, hypothetically.
I bought 3 apartments a year and a half ago, and they're probably 15% over market value, maybe 10%.
Okay.
And I knew it was. But working out the mathematics, I was like, I'm going to put down, there's two factors to it. I put 10% down and got the key. And I didn't pay the next installment for 6 months and the 6 months afterwards over a 6-year period.
Yeah.
So out of that 10%, I actually got a 50%, well, more than that, 70% ROI on my money on money. Because I wasn't getting a mortgage. So I put my 120,000 down and I got 70,000 back, 75,000 down. And I told a banker this, one of the really big bankers I was sitting having lunch with, and I said, look what I've done. And he was like, what? I went, yeah, look at this. The next day, 3 of them went and bought a property. Because, they went, oh my gosh, money on money. If you take
Why do you never tell me about these deals? Why is it I never heard about
that's
this?
That's why I'm here, mate. So it's people just need to grasp the money on money. And that's exactly what you said. With property money devaluing, I asked the question, what are you doing with your money? What are you doing to make it work? Because to break even now, you need 6% return. Do you know what I mean? If you don't got 6% or probably more.
Well, I interviewed a guy called Robert Breedlove the other day, who's a crypto genius, and he believes that inflation's even higher than that.
Oh, really?
He said, I don't think you're in a better place. You'd only stand still if you're getting more than 10. And he was talking about the States. Yeah. He said the real value. He said, go and compare a loaf of bread 12 months ago.
Yeah.
Go and compare, a bottle of milk, a pint of lager 12 months ago. They've all gone up by more than 10%.
I'll give you an idea. My fit out on this office specifically here, talking 8 years ago, was around 1.2 million dirhams, 1.4 million dirhams with the variations in place of everything else we had guided. Now, if you look around the office, it's value for money if you look at what it was. And it's an amazing company that did it. Horton Tech is doing all our offices. Big shout out to Horton Tech. And we've just taken they're not sponsoring us yet. We'll get that. Any
should be
sponsors?
sponsoring your podcast.
I know,
Have you not got sponsors yet?
You can sponsor it.
Oh, you're sponsoring mine.
Oh, there you go. So we paid about 1.4 million for this office, 10,000 square feet. We've just done another office which we've launched, 13,700 square feet in Motor City. It's over 5 million dirhams. For
over 5 million dirhams for an office that's
and we pay
1.4. 1.4 versus 5.
Mental.
Are you all moving out there?
No, it's another office. We've got a lot more people coming, so we've got 260 desks. We're effectively buying desks because we've got a lot more people to continue our market share and growth. Another business, we've got the recruitment business and short-term letting, so maintenance company. So we've got different avenues going down there. So yeah, that opens up. But the difference I'm paying to operate this business is frightening. My fit outs are more. My contracts with the portals, thousands of percent more. Now, luckily, we're making more money at the moment. So
you spend more money to generate more leads.
Correct. Okay. But the cost per lead and cost that we're spending, give you an idea, the top portal in Dubai, when we first launched with them to have unlimited listings on their portal, I paid 10,000 dirhams. Now, to give you an idea now, we are multiple 6 digits into a monthly contract, monthly.
And are you getting that multiple in terms of the number of leads?
This is why I don't argue the cost, because our revenue's going up, theirs are going up.
Yeah.
But I know that we are spending so much more money on everything. To be honest with you, even in staffing, if you try and get a high member of staff now that's a good caliber, I'm not paying what I paid for them 5 years ago.
How much would you pay for an experienced guy then to come in? Do you have to give him a basic? Do you have to give him
no, here it's 50-50. So I'm talking about head of marketing, head of CFO. So we're looking now for like a CFO. We're looking for a new head of marketing, which we've just taken that person on. And what you'll find is that to get the top level now, they know that the world's gone up and these guys are not stupid at the top level, and they are demanding more money. And if you don't pay them, you are not getting these good people. And that is the way the world is.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have to live with that, don't we? But everything is... Inflation will impact everything always, because inflation, even if it's sitting at 1%, it slowly impacts stuff.
Yeah.
But just the fact is right now, it's really, really high. The worst thing you should be doing is leaving your money sitting in the bank.
So how do you combat it outside of property then? If you're sitting listening to this and you say, okay, fine, I know I'm losing my money, I've got £20,000 sitting in that, what can you do to combat it?
Well, that all depends on what you do for a living. Let's say you own your own business, then maybe you should be looking at how you can expand your business. Maybe you can invest in your business to grow your business. Okay. And that could be in many different things. You can invest money in a podcast.
Yeah.
but you could start...
You could sponsor a podcast.
But you potentially could think about how you market your business, how you go about building the brand of your business and invest in that. You can invest in higher quality employees like you're doing at the moment as well. So it all depends on what position you're in. If you're just a regular guy that's got a 9-to-5 job and you bought your house, you got your mortgage.
Which is probably 70% of people that listen to what we do. I mean, they're the normal people in the nicest way that get on and go to work and go home and see their family. Not everyone is entrepreneurs and wants to be an entrepreneur. So what do they do?
I think you've got different assets you can look at, but considering you're in the real estate game, then I would argue that real estate is a really important part of what people need to do to look at as an investment class, because not only does your asset go up in value, but you can also, from a rental income, you can make a rental yield as well. So as long as you're clever with what you do, and I think a lot of people aren't clever. I'll give you an example. Recently, a friend of mine was telling me she was looking at... what's the name of the fancy designer that's got the developments at the moment?
There's Missoni.
Missoni, or what's the other one?
There's so many Elisab. There's so many super brands out there.
So these big brands, and the husband and wife went in, and the lady looked at the property and she goes, "Oh, the furniture was just amazing, and the curtains and everything else." And the husband's like, "Yeah, but it's 40 minutes to work. It's like this place down there we can make look like that, and that's 10 minutes to work."
Mad, isn't it?
And she's like, yes, but so people get seduced into
it's the emotional purchase. That's what it is.
But so I think you can't be in that place. I think you need to, if you're going to use property, don't leave money in the bank and you're going to build a property portfolio here in Dubai, for example. Then I think you have to speak to a number of different agents. Okay, because I think in your industry, there's an awful lot that either aren't very good or aren't good enough yet.
Correct.
Okay, and agents.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so you need to find somebody that knows the industry, has been in this industry for some time, and can demonstrate examples of success. Okay, and can even introduce their clients. Okay, to get recommendations. And I think if you do that, then you'll find someone that's good that can help you build your Dubai property.
I think that's what a lot of people do in Dubai. They chase the property rather than the agent. I know now, working with the best agents in the market, they've been like there 7, 8, 9, 10 years. They go on a viewing and they go, I don't like that. The poor agent would go, okay, good luck with your search. The best agents that know Dubai will go, well, where do you live? You live in that business bay. Why are you looking in Marina? This way you go. You want luxury? Go to Paramount. We've got the, and they have to, like I said.
But you have this terrible situation in your industry where you have really good people, okay, you have bandits, and you have new people.
Yeah.
And the new people come in thinking they're going to get rich quick.
Which never happens.
And so that they're always going to have this influx of people coming into the market. And they're speaking to the millionaires and the billionaires and the school teachers as well.
Which in England, by the way, I want to say this, what I love about Dubai, you can't get access to these people. Do you know what I mean? Like, you cannot get access. I'm calling you and you're well known to have a business worth $100 million, pounds or dollars, I'm not sure what it was. In England, I could never get hold of you. I would get hold of your PA. In Dubai, I find that you can, if you want to sit down with, you know, a really top level guy, it's very easy to hear, I think.
I think in the olden days, you're absolutely right. I think nowadays it's easier because of mobile phones and social media. But that old kind of thing about getting hold of the secretary first. You know, the secretary says he's busy right now.
Now it's WhatsApp. Hello, you're right. I want to speak to you.
But that's because I think you also have to remember you're leveling yourself up, so you're moving in circles that might have been different to.
Very true.
The football players we used to kick around with in the olden days. My wife Anna has something called the Russian Social Club.
Yeah.
Everybody she introduces me to,
it's loaded.
It's very successful, And I kid you not, they're either really successful in business, or either they're fantastically wealthy, or they're super smart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to go to that dinner. I don't want to do that coffee. I just don't know. We need to meet them. And I kid you not, I have met through her introductions. I've met more successful people there than I've met in 30 years.
Wow. That's a good circle to be in.
So it comes back down
Let me join your circle.
Yeah.
I'll speak
I'll
Russian.
teach you some Russian.
Yeah, come on. So I want to jump on to the final topic that everyone's talking about. And again, I know you know a lot about this. I know you've done podcasts on it. And I think the listeners, watchers on YouTube will want to know a little bit about this from your point of view. NFTs.
Yeah.
Okay. Metaverse NFTs. Let's start with NFTs. Told you my story before. I bought a fake Liam Payne, Gary V, JV, and then we talked a little about some successful entrepreneurs like Gary V and Snoop that have bought. What's your opinion on NFTs? Is it here to stay? Are people having success with it? Are people going to lose them? Tell me what you think.
This is just my opinion. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
This is not financial advice.
No, I follow it quite closely, and I learn more about it every time I interview somebody else on the subject matter. And so I think that NFTs, the majority of them are going to become worthless. They're literally just people speculating on JPEGs.
Yeah.
If an NFT has something behind it, so let's take something simple like V-Friends from Gary V. That's a community, that's a club.
Yeah.
Okay, and you get access to a whole ton of stuff if you own one of those NFTs.
Yeah.
That's where the value is.
Okay.
Because let's say you get access to once a quarter, sit round a table, I don't know, let's be hypothetical, with 10 billionaires.
Wow.
Okay, is that worth the 10 grand or the 5 grand you paid for it?
100%.
Absolutely. So that's where the value in that NFT is.
Yeah.
And if you get a chance to sit down once a quarter with these people, and you can go to a party, a function, an event, or whatever it might be, once a quarter, with all of these people that you want to aspire to be like, or you think could be potential customers for your business, or
it becomes an investment of something else.
That's when it's valuable. Bored Apes is another one. It's a community in there. Okay. So for me, NFTs have a really important place.
Yeah.
Okay. They are very young.
Yeah.
And so, it's almost like cryptocurrency is old.
Yeah. When people go Bitcoin now, you accept it. You go, yeah, okay. What's it trading at, 40 or 60? Like it's there, isn't it?
Yeah. So I really do believe there's a space for it. I really do believe that there's lots of other industries, because I don't believe it's all about the pictures.
This is what I said. So I went on a video with Clubhouse. So on Clubhouse talking.
Not a video.
Audio. I went on audio talking to someone about NFTs, and it always resonates with this guy. This guy was an expert in it, and he sit there and said, "I said, what's your advice?" I said, "How do you pick up what's hot?" That's what I want to know. I'm looking at these cartoons of an ape smoking a fag. It doesn't really it doesn't really tickle my fancy. I said, but this is an investment. And he said to me, Lewis, he said, just pick what you think resonates with you, that you really like. I said, that's rubbish, mate. I said, you're talking bollocks. I said, because none of this resonates with me. And I don't care how old or young you are. You're looking at an ape with a balaclava on. It don't mean that it's good. I said, so what is it? And my theory is it's a lot of speculation. outside of what's behind it, it's a lot of PR. You know, these guys that are on Clubhouse talking, I feel like they're half talking to me, telling me how good it's going to be to get me interested in buying one. And that happened. I went, that's amazing. And then they've got the groups, Telegram groups, and they say, this is what's going to happen. It's going to go here. Same thing I've seen with crypto. The hype starts, everyone buys into it, and the FOMO kicks in of, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss that. I nearly bought a fluff bunny for $28,000. They're now trading like 4.5 to 6. Obviously, Ethereum's collapsed off the back of it as well, so it's Ethereum backed. But I was so close to losing $10,000. There's a lot of people that are going to be like that.
Yeah, absolutely there is. And I think that it's like anything. If you make any investment in anything, no matter what it is, do your homework, do your research, and never get involved in something unless you've either got money to burn. You. Okay. Or you know what you're getting involved with.
Yeah.
So go and read, go and study, go and understand it. I think NFTs aren't about art. I think they're about tokenizing industry.
This is what I thought.
Okay. And when you tokenize industry and you see how smart contracts can play such an important role in industry, I think you've got a whole nother dimension to business.
So run me through the dimension of real estate tokenization. Where do you think that could go with NFTs on properties?
Okay, so we'll take the simple example of buying a house. At the moment, I buy a house from you. Let's say you owned it, you sell it to me. We agree a price. I pay a deposit, go to the solicitors, fanny around with them, get a valuer to come in, go to the bank, get a mortgage, go and get that sorted out, come back to you, hope the completion's in 90 days. But we just found out you got some rising damps. We need to get all that organised as well. Can you do that? Yeah, okay, I'll throw that in. Or no, that's whatever, Drags on. Eventually it's done, let's say 3 months down the road. A lot of headache, a lot of heartache.
Yes.
But it's an emotional purchase, I want to buy this lovely home at Jumeirah Golf Estates in the hillside.
Hillside.
Imagine if we could buy that house differently. Imagine if you could say, Spence, do you want to buy my house? And I'm like, how much is it worth? I've got a valuation here. Okay. And you can sell that house to me without any of that fluff, just as a smart contract.
Just to trade the contract, and then you go there, move out, I've got the new contract on my phone.
Absolutely. The contract's all done by phone. Maybe we'll bang our phones together, the contracts get swapped, whatever it might be. We then are exchanging contracts, digital contracts. Now, the benefit for you might be that you've put into the terms of the contract that no matter who sells that property in the future, you will always get 50 quid.
Wow.
Or 5,000 quid or 1% or whatever. And then forevermore, that property then essentially is a tokenized product and you will always earn from that contract.
Mad, isn't it? That becomes an asset, what you've sold, but still your asset.
That's right, you've sold the asset, and every few years you get $5,000 or whatever it might be.
You'd be like, please move out, please.
Come on. Why don't you sell it? I think there's so many people want to buy. I'll sell it for you. You're an estate agent. I'll sell it for you. So I think there's a real in the big fancy shiny houses like your place. Not I don't mean so much in the smaller places, but the big fancy houses that cost a lot of money. I think there's an opportunity there. Yeah. But it crosses so many industries. If you can do it with houses, you can do it with cars, you can do it with computers. The
good thing for me about the whole NFT and the tokenization is how it logs everything and can't be changed. I love the fact that how you trade a £20 note. You don't know about the note's gone. Now, and it's going to take a lot of the money laundering and everything out of the world effectively, because it's very easy to go, he owned it in 2021, he owned it in 24, and you can see this chain of whatever's happened with the people. So I think the world's going to go there. People have only just got their head around smart contracts.
They have. There are some caveats here though, because there are people that own cryptocurrencies that have had their money hacked.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah. And sometimes it comes back and sometimes it doesn't. And I nearly had that episode just recently.
Really?
Like on my Binance account. And so I couldn't get into my Binance account. I was like, I got the password wrong. Okay, so I applied for a new password. Got the new password. It said, you have to verify yourself again. I'm like, okay, fine. Doing the photograph of myself with the passport and all that stuff. And then the account opened up and I went into it. There was no money in it.
Where was it?
And I'm like, where's the money? Whoa, hold on a minute. Where's the money? But what I'd done by accident, not being a genius, is I'd opened a sub account up.
Oh, okay, fine.
And because I'd opened a sub account up, but it's still then I'm trying to find my money.
You still can't find it?
And I've got it now, but by then I was like,
so give me your phone, I'll transfer it to me.
All that was going through my head is like, what? And I had a guest on my podcast that was talking about digital wallets.
Oh, God.
And like, it is in crypto security. It's like, you must have one of these. And I'm like, I'm going to get one.
In my Binance. You just give me your phone and go, just get me in and get my money back.
give me the Google link.
Well, I appreciate you coming down, spending the time with us. And finally, I think by the time this is already out, we will be on the Stephen Bartlett Show. You will be doing your part, and I'll be on as a moderator and as a think I'm called a VIP sponsor.
A panelist.
A panelist, and I've been looking at moderator, even better. And then obviously we're a sponsor. I'm looking forward to Stephen coming out. Big day at the opera.
Yeah, we've got that. I've never done anything at the opera before. So have you been on stage?
Christmas shows I've been on, not dancing myself, but watching them.
You might, in a few years, your beard will be nice and
white.
If
it's nice and grey, I'll get you on there then.
So I've not spoken on stage at the opera, so it'd be great to interview Stephen there. There's about 1,200 people going to be there.
That's going to be sellout?
Sellout, yeah, complete sellout. Great audience. People that are really interested in entrepreneurship and business, and are interested in his story are going to be there.
He's a good guy to follow, isn't he? He's a modern entrepreneur. That's how I look at him. He's got a modern mindset. He understands social media, obviously with Social Chain. He gets the world. And I think when you watch like Dragon's Den and things like that, and you see the older generation investors that haven't learned the new ways, and when these new businesses come up, he knows. He's like, that's a good business.
Yeah.
And somebody can't get their head around it.
It's only Peter Jones, I think, that can still see that. The others, I think, are stuck in a different place.
Yeah.
Someone will come on with a new version of a caravan, and you'll have one of them going, well, I think I'll invest.
It's a great idea. When's the Caravan Road shows? They were great buds. Remember them? My dad used to take me them, where you go to the caravan exhibitions where they would sell the different high-end caravans. I used to love going in the dream of what caravan you're going to get.
The camping and caravan show.
I think that's what it was. But yeah, looking forward to doing that show, and we'll do a follow-up on what happened afterwards. Cool. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Subscribe to myself and Spencer's podcast. Spencer, what's your podcast called? You're on?
It's called the Spencer Lodge Podcast.
The Spencer Lodge Podcast. Please do follow all of his content.
Subscribe to the bloody thing.
Definitely subscribe. It's got some of the best people that you want to listen to, from astronauts to crypto specialists. This is the man that you definitely want to listen to. But thank you very much today, guys. Cheers.